welcome back to another edition of My Team. Oh, a lot to unpack from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We are now officially a points-getting team in the 2021 F1 season. Unfortunately, it was not on my side of the garage, but that's okay. Dan did a very, very good job to put his car into P10 for the last race. Controversially, we got the subpar strategy from the team, unfortunately. So they prioritized Dan ahead of us, even though we were the lead rapid racing car in the Grand Prix at the stage of the second pit stops. We then put absolutely everything into the effort of catching him later on in the race. We got held up by Fernando Alonso a little bit in the final stint, and essentially we left ourselves with too much to do after two stopping, and Dan had a one stop to essentially get back up to him at the end. So we're showing really good signs of pace. That's the positive that we bring from Baku. The car was great around the streets of Baku. It was really quick. It was responsive. Strategy is the only thing that undid us. So we need to work on that, make sure that we have the best possible outcome for the Canadian Grand Prix. So let's get into it. Now, not too much admin to attend to this week, but what is interesting when we open up the workstation at the team garage is during the race there is scheduled rain. So we need to keep that front of mind. We need to do some investigation into the best setups for that scenario, because it looks fairly likely for the back half of the race on Sunday, and potentially through qualifying as well. So I had a bit of a minor hiccup swapping around some components just prior to third practice. Didn't realize it would actually happen during that session, so I was wondering why it wasn't actually flicked over in between Baku and Canada. But either way, it didn't hold us back too much. And again, a running theme of this season is practice. We're just not showing much pace whatsoever. Or at least our delta times are just showing that we're really lagging behind. But qualifying generally is showing a different story, so that's positive. So let's get cracking. Let's get into qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix. So first qualifying lap, a 1:10 flat, which after the first sequence of hot laps, it's looking quite promising. We're sitting in P13, our second run now on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. We're 2/10 up on our previous time. We are right on the back of George Russell in the Williams, which is putting us in a great spot for getting a nice tow out of the hairpin there. Coming up onto the back straight, we've got DRS open. We are definitely getting a pull from George. You can see the delta raising there. Coming up onto the wall of champions, and we're just outside. Lost a lot of time on the final chicane. We end up 0.18 outside of our first lap, so we don't improve. What is critical though is that we have just snuck into Q2. That time was enough. So we've out-qualified our direct competitors. We've made it into the second qualifying session, which for a team of our size is fantastic. We can see there on the dashboard that midway through Q2, we are going to get some participation. So this lap is critical. We are 0.3 of a second. We're pulling out the outside of Hamilton going into the final chicane. We're 0.3 of a second up on our previous best from Q1. And we put together a 1:10.0 again. Purple through the third sector. Essentially, it's only good enough for P15, but we've added an extra position. In great shape coming into the race. quick word on strategy. We're underfueling the car. We're going to go with a two-stopper. We need flexibility with the potential of rain coming in the afternoon. Let's hope for some chaos so we can shake things up a bit. Here we go. Getting the tyres up to speed now on our formation lap. And we can see, while we're waiting for the grid to form, right behind us, Mick Schumacher in the Haas. Great qualifying from them. So he's in P16 on the medium compound. Behind him, Kimi Räikkönen going to obviously one stop. He's starting on the hards. And directly in front of us, we've got the two Alpines on the soft compound tyre. So we're going to need to be racy to make up positions on this first lap. Let's see how we go. The revs rise, and here it comes. Showtime. Making a great start. A trademark rapid racing start. Putting pressure on the two Alpines, and we're going to fall into line to avoid any... Oh, and we haven't avoided a contact with Fernando Alonso's gearbox. Looking at the heads-up display, though, there is no front wing damage, and we've been swamped by the Haas of Mick Schumacher and Giovinazzi in the Alpha. It was a great jump off the line, but in all honesty, not a great start. We've taken Mick Schumacher, and there is a yellow flag being waved. I think that's for our little run-in just then. Nothing doing in terms of damage still, though, so we're still in good shape. Falling in behind the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, still holding down our position of 15th. As we come into the tight hairpin, we've taken both Alpines up the inside. Ocon and Alonso dispatched on the first lap. Fernando's going to dispute that, but we will get a great tow on him, and we don't even need that, in fact. Putting it up into overtake. The soft compound tyres doing the rest for us. Back into the final chicane, and we hold that position up into P13. And we've turned a pretty ordinary opening lap into a net gain of 2 positions. After Baku, Jeff has learned to count again. Nice to see he acknowledges that we are into P10 and in the top 10 in the points gathering positions. And we can see what's happened now. We've fast forwarded into lap 7. We've completely lost touch with the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda. Fernando has gained a position on us as the softs start to lose their edge now, and our tyre wear is clearly not up to what the Alpines are. The first round of pit stops has approached us. We gain a few positions up into P8. And we're going to pit 1 lap later. And here we go. Lap 9, diving into the pits. We've maintained a...
Officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
So some shenanigans happening elsewhere on the circuit as we come into the pit box. Speed is going to be crucial here to see if we can get past the Alpines. 3-second stop. There's a lot to be desired there. But we have held our position over Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo. So that is at least a saving grace. Quick replay here showing the state of affairs there. Racing 2 other cars as we come in to fit the medium compound. There goes the Alpine. Oh, and we've almost... It is as close as you can get to an unsafe release. But we have maintained that position. We'll see what it shakes out as after the first round of pit stops is complete. P19 is not a genuine indicator of where we are in this race. But now, how far can we stretch the medium tyres before that scheduled rain sets in? If indeed it does set in at all. It is still a speculative thing. We've turned up the realism on the weather simulation for this season. Here we go. Giovinazzi making a dive up the inside. Oh, we've held on. We've closed the door on him quite violently, and he gets set back a fair way. Dan Ticktum now dives into the pits, and again, you would imagine that we should have the preferential pit stop strategy, but we won't know until the end of this race, so we'll play it by ear. We're holding down P16 now as we come into the final chicane, setting some really decent lap times, but we are still under threat from Giovinazzi, and he makes a really, really simple dive down the inside on turn 1. We're trying to do a bit of a switchback, but to no avail. He's showing a lot more pace on us in the first opening stint of these medium compound tyres. So not much we can do to dispute that as it stands. Our job now is to hold on to the back as well as we can with DRS assistance. And hopefully, here we come into the hairpin. Hopefully we can make as much of an inroad as possible on the back straight. We've got overtake on, opening the DRS flap. We go up the inside into the final chicane. We hold that position over Giovinazzi. Alonso ahead of us. Mazepin comes into the pits. So now we're looking like we are realistically around P14 at this stage, as most runners have made their first pit stop, and some their only pit stop of the race. Some of the hard runners, or the medium runners, initially should have come into the pits. So now the job is hunt down Alonso as quickly as possible. It's unclear at the moment what's happened to Esteban Ocon. We were dicing with him early on, and he's fallen by the wayside now. So we thought we were on the same strategy, soft to medium, and then a second stop for another fresh set of mediums, but we shall see. Now we're keeping really good pace with Fernando Alonso. We're inside the 1 second DRS range. Lando Norris has just come into the pits, so maybe an update to his strategy. We're holding down P12 at this stage, and we are right on the back of Fernando Alonso, who is hounding Sebastian Vettel. So that squabble there with Alonso and Vettel is really enabling, and you can see Sebastian Vettel's rear end absolutely squirming through that left-hander. This squabble is absolutely playing into our hands, so there's a potential double move on here. If any one of them makes a mistake, we can really capitalize on our track position. Coming to the hairpin, late on the brakes. We've got Alonso now on lap 22 in our crosshairs, onto the back straight, opening up the DRS once again into overtake, and the 4% of ERS that we have remaining. We're on the inside. We scraped the wall, and we've made that position count up into the final chicane. And honestly, we didn't need to try that hard. Fernando was coming into the pits anyway. The following lap, we have dived into pit lane to set our last set of medium compound tyres on. A surprise to all of us is we've had a new front wing put on, and our pit stop goes to 8.8 seconds. We come out behind our teammate.
See these tires through to the end now.
Absolutely bemused. On the heads-up display, or the multifunction display, there was no indication that we had any front wing damage. If there was, I probably would have advised the team to let things stand, because we were lapping very consistently. Oh boy, that has thrown a spanner into the works, well and truly. 10 laps remaining in this race. We're in P17, behind our teammate yet again, as the rain starts to fall. Oh, what else? What else can happen? I tell you what, a dull race would actually do us quite nicely at this stage of the season. Lap 27 in P16, which does us no favours. We are trying to figure out now whether we make a dive for the pits and speculate on a set of inters. We're really hounding Dan at the moment, so we might try and make that move on Dan. We've got DRS while it's enabled, which could be shut down at any point. We've got battery being drained as well. Final chicane. Oh, and we've overshot the final chicane. We've made that position illegally. We will redress that. We've lifted off to let Dan back through. That was absolute chaos. Oh. Yet again, the very next lap, we are looking to make the same move. We're not close enough at this stage. We've got 5 laps to go. There's a new strategy available. Jeff is not sure whether these tyres are the right ones at this stage. Oh! And we paid the ultimate price for just not doing anything. Our indecision has cost us. Oh. We weren't sure whether intermediates or dries were still the best option. We've tried to put the pressure on Dan. We've really just paid the ultimate price there. We've come into the wall. We've lost our whole front wing. The safety car's out as a result.
Prix seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
And Jeff still doesn't know. So Jeff is still suggesting that dries are the best way to go. I'm very, very hesitant. But as you can see, we're bolting on a pair of softs. We're gonna let Jeff redeem himself, or at least give him the opportunity to redeem himself. And this will let us know what we should do for the rest of the season. There have been a few situations so far this season that Jeff's gotten wrong, and he has cost us points in Baku. Let's face it, he cost us points by not putting us on the preferred strategy over one stop. So we're on the softs now, trying to catch up to the safety car queue.
Tyres are the right ones. It might be time to come in and change.
Oh, Jeff. We're barely 3/4 through the lap, and Jeff has changed his tune and said, "You know what? I've got it wrong, guys. It's wet." And as you can see in front of me, the safety car is in. I've pitted for Inters purely because I'm in P22. I've got nothing to lose. I may as well use the next 2.5 laps to try and catch the queue, try and make a couple of passes, because I'm not going to do that on the softs. I'm not going to have that opportunity. So fast forwarding to lap 34. We've got Max Verstappen in 5th. I'm already a lap behind. And look at this. I am catching Max at a rate of knots, making a move on him fairly swiftly, because Inters are definitely the right tyre to be on at this stage. The rest of the field do not have the luxury of pitting under safety cars. So if we had pitted for Inters as soon as the safety car came in, whew, I'd speculate we might have actually gotten into the points. It was that big of an advantage at that part of the race. Again, we have to look at our teammate, who is driver of the day. Oh, Jeff.
They take the checkered flag then here in Canada in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy and to stay out of trouble.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship.
Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Daniel Ticktum gets my vote today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead.
Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship.
I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
I've got to say, I think again he's cost us points, because as it stood, coming into that safety car, if we went onto the Inters as we were really thinking were the best tyres to be on at that stage, and he was telling us against it, I don't think it's too big of a call to say we could have made up those positions with the advantage that we had. We caught Max Verstappen with in a few corners on the last couple of laps of the race. So I think we need to, again, have a look at strategy. I think that's the only thing holding us back, and I think points were crazily on offer again, despite the number of calamities that we had on offer today in Canada. The next race is France. Again, power-dominated track. I think we've got a great opportunity to put some damage in to the midfield of the race again. So we'll pack up the truck. We will unload at Circuit de Paul Ricard. And we'll go again. If nothing else, we're building up the resilience of this team, which always bodes well. Pace is definitely something that you need in abundance, but resilience and just hard-nosed battle awareness, that's what we are developing right now. Dan is proving that he is a great second driver. Actually, incredibly happy with what he's doing. He is pushing the limits of the RR1. And he's putting it where it needs to be. He's out driving us at the moment, and his side of the garage strategy-wise is not putting a foot wrong. So let's go again, and I'm really looking forward to the French Grand Prix. So we will see you there for another episode. If you like this, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications of when the next episodes are live as well, and we'll see you on the next video.